Welcome to Annihilation 7.3, Part 2. Hey guys, it is the Gaming Ronin, and this is part 2 of my 7.3 update for Annihilation. This time we are going to be looking at how I regularly play Annihilation, where instead of Jugo Rend, I take Draining Center because I am after that sweet damage. If you are new to Annihilation, do scroll down to the description of this video where part 1 will be linked. That will probably better suit you because we're going to be talking about some things that you may not understand. In part 1 we'll give you some context. Do note it is a fairly long video. It's about 50 minutes in length, but it will help you quite a bit in being able to understand Annihilation. So we're gonna just go right into it, guys, and waste no time. I'm not even gonna do a cut, and just to show you, just to verify that yes, we are using Draining Center, not Judo Predation, Blood Wave, Bleeding Center, Steel Self, Cloak of Retribution, Undying Rage, and Brazen. Although if you really want, you can take theirs for Rage, perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. And that's about it. And then just to touch on it, Bloodlust was changed from needing you to critically hit for a bleeding target to now you just have to hit a bleeding target with a direct damage attack. That has allowed us to change up what we're doing in the rotation quite a bit here. At the same time, not quite a bit, because it's pretty much the same thing we've been doing. Now, this here is what my rotation looked like from opener to repeated core, which you just repeat the repeated core, obviously, until your target dies. And what this basically was here's just an opener, just to kind of allow your bleeds to do to just start off with a lot of damage, and then we were essentially doing 7 fillers, and then placing Deadly Saber, Berserk, and Force Rend in set slots as our only set abilities. They should be activated in the same spot no matter what. But now we are doing that a little bit differently with this. I know it's going to be a little bright, but this is essentially what we're doing right here instead. So we're reducing how long the opener is. It only goes up until that first rupture there, although we are going to do a slightly modified version of that because we do have access to hidden power, and we can get all of our rage built up before battle, so you don't necessarily need to use Battering Assault to start with. You can actually replace that Battering Assault with the Annihilation, and then move Rupture to the other side of the Force Rend there, and then you just do a Vicious Slash in place of the Rupture, and that would be how I would modify that to be a little bit more powerful, and you're not wasting your time with Battering Assault. But what's good about that is if you weren't able to build up your rage for whatever reason, you can just leap in, Deadly Saber, Battering Assault, hit your Adrenal, hit your Annihilate, hit your Berserk, hit your Force Rend, hit the Rupture, and you'll be good to go there. You'll build up all of the rage you need, so that way you can continue on once you get to that first Vicious Slash, and you'll be fine until you get to the Berserk in the next row. You won't need to do any rage building abilities. Now, for those of you that are keen-eyed, what you're gonna notice is Dual Saber Throw and Ravage are in the same slot. That is because we are assigning those two abilities to filler slot number 2. Now, I'm gonna change graphics here. And we're going to look at this in a more broken down way. So this is really what we're actually doing once we're in the repeated core. This is kind of the way I kind of prefer looking at it, is starting off with the filler, then the Dual Saber Throw, and then 3 fillers after that. You do a Deadly Saber, and because it's not an attack, it gets put above the next filler ability, and we use another melee attack filler, so that way we apply both of our Deadly Saber stacks onto the target. Then we pop Berserk and follow it up with Force Rend. And what that essentially does is it allows us to have 2 stacks of our Deadly Saber on the target, alongside with our Rupture Bleed. So that way when we pop Berserk, your 2-stack Deadly Saber is getting that 100% crit kind of off the bat. And then you're going to do another melee filler attack after the Force Rend. And that will apply the 3rd stack, and everything will... You'll pretty much... all of your Deadly Saber stacks will essentially see... we'll see the 100% crit, and all of your dots will see the 100% crit all together all at once. So that is basically what we're doing. So we have 4 set abilities that we're going to use in the same positions in this 10 ability rotation. That is really what we're doing. So if you're still watching this video, you should know what filler is. If not, go check out part 1. I do have it broken down into parts where you can scroll through and find where I start talking about filler, and get your education there. But you should already know filler is going to be this list right here, just in case you don't, and you want to continue on anyway. And we're going to use those abilities wherever it says filler here. So we need to kind of determine what's off cooldown, what's available, which for the most part, because we're removing Dual Saber Throw and Ravage from the filler priority list and putting them in a specific slot number 2 here, we're kind of only hitting Vicious Slash and Annihilate in the filler slots. So most of the time, your filler slots are just Annihilate or Vicious Slash. Once a target hits 29% health, that's when we can first use Vicious Throw. We start incorporating that, and what I pretty much have kind of discovered, what I pretty much always want to do, is once Vicious Throw is available to me, I'm putting it in filler slot number 3 all times. Like, even if it's available, I'm past filler slot number 3, I will wait. I will go through a full rotation. I will cycle through, and I will put Vicious Throw after the Dual Saber Throw or the Ravage, and that will kind of lock Vicious Throw in that slot. So that way you can always get the buff, or have the buff, the Dispatcher buff, available for your Vicious Throw. Now, it's not 100%. You're not always going to have your Dual Saber Throw available and ready to set that up, because it just won't proc, or it's still on cooldown, and so you're forced to use Ravage, which that's fine. You'll just cycle through again, and then once Dual Saber Throw is available, you'll use that instead of Ravage, and then the next ability you will be following up with is Vicious Throw. The only time that I don't do that, and that's more just because it has a higher priority, is if Annihilate becomes available after the Dual Saber Throw. I'll do Dual Saber Throw, Annihilate, Vicious Throw. So Annihilate will take slot number 3, and then I push Vicious Throw back to slot number 4, and then Vicious Throw will still just via the length of its cooldown, it will still become available on the next filler slot number, slot number 3. That's really filler slot number 2. But the third ability that you're doing in the rotation, once Vicious Throw is available, you pretty much want it. You want that third ability to be Vicious Throw. But if Annihilate is available, do that instead. Then do follow up with Vicious Throw. And those are really the only fillers that we're doing. There might be the occasion where, like, if you need to correct things, do a battering assault. If you see that you're just going to be really low on rage, instead of doing a Dual Saber Throw or Ravage, you add battering assault to that slot. So if you need to use battering assault, you want to try and use it there. But if you have to use it somewhere else, that's, you have to use it. There's just no getting around it. Battering Assault is just the rage generator, more or less, for the class and the spec. So, but if if you can catch it, if like, oh man, I'm really going to be low here, you can definitely do Battering Assaults instead of Dual Saber Throw or Ravage in the second ability slot in the rotation. If you have to, like if you need to use Battering Assault, further down the line, just take the GCD to take that time to just correct yourself. It is worth it to just do one extra GCD. It's really not going to affect your parse all that much. So it is pretty. This has been really effective. I have been getting much more consistent parses. I've been getting anywhere from like a 31.7 to like a 32.1k parse, which is pretty good. This is actually way more consistent than prior 7.3. So I'm actually really, really digging this. Now, one thing you are going to notice is you're going to be real tight on your Fury building here, like really, really freaking tight. Like you are going to be building your 30 stack just before Force Ring comes off cooldown. And so you're going to be and you're going to be really reliant on Bleeding Center activating, essentially, because if you do the math here, you are only actually building 28 Fury. You are missing 2 Fury when you do the math. It is interesting how it works, but it usually comes through, and if it doesn't, you just take that one extra GCD, do another Vicious Slash, or if you need to, do a Smash or do a Rupture, get your 30 stack, pop Berserk, pop Force Rend, do your probably a Vicious Slash or an Annihilate, follow up with a Dual Saber Throw, Ravage, and you'll be amazed that in the next line, perfect 30 stack, and it will kind of continue like that, probably without any issues. There's usually one or two lines where they just get a little screwy, but that's okay. Next, I have there's no need for Devastating Vengeance. I usually keep it there. It's in my Legacy bay at the moment. I'm now just using Serendipitous Assault and Focus Ret. Prior 7.3, because of how Bloodlust was worded, because you needed to critically hit, you were a little more beholden to Devastating Vengeance. It was just doing a lot of heavy lifting for you. But now that the only things that require you to critically hit are Bleeding Center and your Implant, it's not worth it to try and do that, because we did have that RNG kind of removed. Now we have something a little more guaranteed and more consistent in Bloodlust. We can just use Serendipitous Assault and Focus Ret, so I'm actually pretty pleased with that. And then Deadly Saber, when should we be activating it? Well, if you count, it'd be it's 1 filler, Dual Saber Throw or Ravage, 2 filler, 3 filler, 4 filler, Deadly Saber, so slot number 6, filler, Berserk, Force Rend. So slot number 6 is when we want to be activating Deadly Saber. You should at that point have either 16 Fury or 18 Fury. If you have 18 Fury, you're golden. Your next 2 abilities are going to get your 30 stack guaranteed, and that's prior to you activating Deadly Saber. So when you go to activate Deadly Saber, you have 18 Fury. You are golden. You're set. You just need the next 2 Rage Fury building abilities after that, which should be like an Annihilate or a Vicious Slash, or 2 Vicious Slashes, or whatever combination of getting to your 30 stack you want to do. If you're at 16, though, you are going to be 2 Fury short, so that's where you are going to be beholden to Bleeding Center coming through. and just in the next 2 seconds, because you're literally activating Deadly Saber as Force Rend has 2 seconds left on its cooldown. In the next 2 seconds, you're just really hoping that you critically hit. And for the most part, it does happen. It really does. I've been kind of amazed by it, like, because the math really doesn't add up. But it has actually been pretty consistent for Bleeding Center to go off for you to get that critically hitting bleed damage in, so that way you can build that to Fury and reach your 30 stack. So it will and sometimes, you know, you'll be at 24, you'll do your final filler ability, and then off of doing that filler ability, Bleeding Center kicks in and you build the 6 Fury that you needed, and it just randomly perfectly fits, and it is random. So that is the only bit of RNG that we're still kind of experiencing right now. But Deadly Saber, you need, if once you hit 16 Fury, you need to pop it. You should be at your 6th ability in the rotation. And then if you're at 18 Fury, you're golden. Hit that Deadly Saber, hit 2 more Fury building abilities, and you're good. And what's just really nice is, because of Bloodlust, we do have a larger amount of rage that we are building. And because of that, the reason that we're putting Dual Saber Throw and Ravage in the 2nd spot instead of just letting it be filler, and going through a more traditional filler priority list where Dual Saber Throw and Ravage are included in that list, is those 2 abilities are, one, maintaining your rage, and then they have a pretty good chance of building you rage. And then because of Bleeding Center building us 4 rage off whenever we activate Berserk, and you immediately following that up with Force Rend, you're just at the end of the rotation, you're just going, hey, I just got 8 rage. And then just a lot of our passives are either reducing the cost of a number of our abilities. Like, you'll notice Annihilation, one of your Annihilations will be completely free. No cost. Your rage won't budge an inch, and it'll just remain there. Or it'll cost like 2 rage or 1 rage for you to have activated. And that's because of your passives due to Bloodlust, the Bleeding Center, as well as the Dispatcher Implant. And also Hemorrhage here, because your bleeds do have a chance to build you rage as well. So we have 4 ways of passively building back rage, and they could all happen at the same time. And that's one of the reasons why, like, when that happens, that's why Annihilate is free. You did a direct damage attack, so you built the rage. You critically hit with a bleed damage, so you built the 1 rage. You're really 2 rage, because your Hemorrhage activated the same time as Bleeding Center, and then you critically hit with the Annihilate, so that activated Dispatcher for critically hitting with a weapon attack to build 1 rage. So that's why, Annihilate will be free, Vicious Slash will be free, Vicious Throw will be free, or have reduced costs. So we're actually not spending as much rage as we once were. And then not only that, what the spot where we're activating Dual Saber Throw and Ravage, the 2nd ability slot here in the rotation, is also when Berserk is being taken away. It's where it's ending. And so you're gonna, that 3rd ability slot, the 2nd filler slot, is where you're actually starting to build your rage. And because of Bleeding Center, you already have 4 rage built, so you got to build 26 more Fury. I probably was saying rage. I meant to say Fury. So that is what's happening there. So that Dual Saber Throw and Ravage is more or less marking the end of Berserk, and then the 3 fillers, Deadly Saber, and 2 fillers following that is your Fury building window. Then the Berserk, Force Rend, and then the starting filler and the dual saber throw or ravage are, you know, your berserk window essentially. And it's just, and it really, it just works. I've pretty much fallen in love with this, because it just gives us a more set rotation to use. So, that's kind of enough theory talk. Let's go ahead and actually kind of take a look at what this looks like. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'll kill the dummy here. So what what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Hidden Power, Force Camo, Spiteful Saber. That's going to be my full rage. Then I'm going to activate Deadly Saber, Annihilate, Rupture, Berserk, Force Rend. That's going to be my opener. Then I'm going to go into the repeated core. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So you don't need to, you know, do Deadly Saber, Battering Assault, Annihilate, Adrenal. And then I'm going to pop my Berserk, Frenzy, Adrenal before I activate my Deadly Saber and Annihilate as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Let the rage build up. Okay, we're good to go. So I'm going to go Berserk, Frenzy, Adrenal, Deadly Saber, Annihilate, Rupture, Berserk, Force Rend, Filler 1, Dual Saber Throw, Filler 2, Filler 3, Filler 4, Deadly Saber, Filler 5, Filler 6, Berserk, Force Rend. My Annihilate's available, so Filler 1, Ravage, Filler 2, Filler 3, Filler 4, Deadly Saber, Filler 5, Filler 6, Berserk, Force Rend. And that's kind of what we're going to do. And you notice the Fury is getting built last second. Just as last second as it can possibly be. And then something like that will happen where, you know, you need to keep an eye out for your Dual Saber Throw to proc when you're going to, you know, where you think you're going to be activating Ravage. So you do want to be quick on the draw with that. But since it's available this go around, we're going to use Dual Saber Throw over the Ravage. And you're essentially just going to cycle here. Just like this. Boom. We'll probably drop on the parse, but that's okay. More just showcasing this. I had a little bit of a stutter there. There we go. It's fine, yeah, you can see the stuttering happening, but that's okay. And then if, you know, Deadly Saber becomes available, don't immediately pop it off, because you do have a specific slot you want to use it, and you want to make sure that you're counting that out. You're doing 6 abilities before using Deadly Saber, and you can use everything and align everything that you're doing with how long it takes for Force Rend to come off cooldown. And typically Deadly Saber you're gonna do when you're just hitting 2 seconds, like 2.9. Sometimes it'll be during you know, that 3-second countdown. Other times it will be at 2 seconds. But yeah, and it's just a really very easy cycle, and not that hard to maintain. So I had a little bit of stuttering, which is why I'm just dropping on the parse, which I just thought it was at a nice 32k there. And you're just gonna cycle like this. There may be a hiccup or two, and you just have to adjust on it. But this is actually just so much more convenient, and we've had a solid pull of rage this whole time through. Yeah, we're gonna eat up a rage, but then we built back to rage as well. And then pain, I probably should have used ravage there. That's okay, instead of the assault. And this is what I mean by you're just gonna recover. Take the GC, you know, don't pop off your Deadly Saber too soon, because that really is going to kind of screw through with things, because you do want your Deadly Saber to be running under the Berserk here, once you apply your second stack of it. So, and you're just gonna cycle. And I mean, we're still at a respectable 31.5. That was a little awkward there. I should have done the vicious throw. Instead, we'll use a rupture and we'll make the adjustment here. Boom, do the dual saber throw. Now we want to use the vicious throw because it's going to get that nice buff. We're going to use battering assault just because we are behind on rage. But you know, we're doing filler, dual saber throw, filler, filler, filler. A little soon on that just because we're still fixing rotation here. Was a little bit of a better player, I would have been paying a little more attention. Okay, cool, 16 Fury, we're good to use Deadly Saber on them. So there are going to be little hiccups like that, but you're still going to do respectively fine. There was a massive spike up by 300 points to 31.6. Right. Boom. And that's really it. Like, it's just making that slight adjustment. And apparently I hit my my saber ward 31.7, which isn't bad. Like, even with like my screw ups here, we were able to make the adjustment correct. You know, take that little bit of time to correct it, and then we can end on a force run and end with a 31.7. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly decent. There are plenty of classes that can't even reach this. So, and you know, when you're a little more lucky, you're doing a little bit better. You don't, you know, things don't go wrong for you. Like a lag spike, like I had at the start. You can get into that wonderful 32k, maybe even 33k if you're lucky enough to just be critting. But that is what I'm doing right now, and I genuinely really like this setup. It is just really good, and that's really about it for the changes from 7.2 to 7.3. Can't complain because we do have finally some consistency back. I do kind of wish we would go back to 7.1 days, but just because, you know, Force Rend was way stronger. Not only that, Draining Center had the 10 Fury generation upon using Force Rend, and you know, that was better, but it still had some rough edges to it. And so this is on a technical standpoint better than even that was, but the damage was way better. So it was a good change overall, and it did allow us to make a solid enough change to the rotation that we're able to make things much easier on our lives. Now, again, there are going to be times where you're going to have to make that, you know, do that extra GCD and whatnot. But just a simple filler, dual saber throw or ravage, filler, deadly saber, filler, berserk, force rend is just so freaking good. And that's really it, guys. All I can say is go practice. Like that's it. Like, you got to practice knowing and paying attention, you know, to what fillers you need to be doing. You don't have a choice in it. It's just how it is, unfortunately. But it is. This is much better. Having 4 abilities and our 10 ability rotation here. Just be hard set. You're doing these specific things in between all of this filler. So I do think it does break it up a lot nicer than what it once was. So that is what I am essentially doing in 7.3. I have to give a huge shout out to DanSWTOR, who is essentially the one that came up with this adjustment to the rotation and putting dual saber throw and ravage in a set spot. So I'm still learning quite a bit about this rotation. Learning, you know, it's always an ever growing and learning experience for everyone. But I've been having a ton of fun with it. I'm really happy and grateful to Dan for sharing that with me and for allowing me to share it with all of you. And like, just huge props to him. He is a very very brilliant player, and he and we talked quite a bit. So anyway, guys, I do have more videos planned to come out. The next thing that I am going to be doing is making Sentinel guides, doing the other side of Marauder, because I do know there's a lot of you Sentinels that want some love thrown your way and shown your way. So that is going to be my next project. So I'm just going to be essentially making translations of my Marauder guides and putting them into Sentinel terms, so that way Sentinel guys that never touch Marauder can follow along as well. So definitely look forward to that. So if you're not already subscribed, do subscribe if you want to see all that. And then of course, once I'm done with Sentinels, I am planning on expanding and start bringing you more stuff for other classes as well. So there is a lot being worked on in the background. I know I don't post super often, but trust me, there is stuff in the works and down the pipeline being looked at. So until next time, guys, I've been the Gaming Ronin, and I'll see you in a galaxy far away.